How are you, man?
Oh man, I'm doing great, man. If I was doing any better, I'd be sitting in that chair over there where you are. So
Amen. Amen. My man. And you look great. You look great.
I'm I'm not going to argue with you on that one.
You look
I appreciate it. I
good.
appreciate it.
Yeah, man. You look great. And you know what's funny, man? So I said you look great. So I told my kids the other day, right? You and I had chatted, and I said, "Oh man, got to talk to Big Cat." And my boy goes, "Hey man, how's his head?" He goes, "How's his
Yeah.
head?" And I went, "What are you talking about?" And he goes, "Remember Dad earlier this year?" And he smacked his head on that. I'm like, "Oh, I forgot all about that, man." So he was concerned, man. He wanted to make sure that your head was okay, that you had healed up.
Man, hey, let them know that I'm all healed up 100% and the eye is working 100, everything's in working order, so we're good. And
Yeah.
technically now it's actually filmed about actually it was filmed in September of last year.
Yeah.
Um,
Okay.
but people, it's hard to tell like when things happen because they see it live. They saw it like 3 weeks ago, and then but yeah, so it was a
That's
pretty gnarly bump on the head for sure. So
yeah, yeah. You smacked your head pretty solid on that obstacle, man, but you kept rolling.
yeah, hey, that's what warriors do, man. So
That's it.
sometimes like what was it Rocky said, hey, sometimes you get knocked in the face, man.
That's right, man. That's right. That's right. Yeah, that's it. It's funny, man. My kids actually just finished up the season. I remember that they watched it last night. They ended up seeing the finale and seeing Kai and going through. Man, it's just
Man.
man. So yeah, you guys are all just freaking savages. That's just the way it is, man. You guys are all
Yeah,
freaking savages.
man, it's I still try to consider myself a savage until I see a guy like Kai Beckstrand, and that's like I'm more than twice his age,
I
and
know.
I got to compete against on the same course as these guys. So
I know.
we're scratching and clawing to stay in the mix, and at the end of the day, I just want to have a good showing. Kind of just see what's possible.
So
Test myself, and hopefully inspire others to do the same. So
same thing. You're dang right. Oh, so freaking cool, man. Well, I appreciate your time today too, man. We're gonna get to dive into just all things you. We got some young men and some of our men from all over the world, man. They'll come in for a little Q&A on the backside too, man. But we're just talking about you today. So easy day, fun day, man. So I'm pumped that you're here. Um,
I'm
I
excited.
I want to go. I love it when we have our young guys here because I like to go back to the early days, so to speak, right? So you and I are in our 40s now. I know I'm a little older than you, even though I look a lot older than you. And I like to go back to Carson as the young buck, Carson as the, you know, 10, 11, 12, 14, 15, whatever. Like, who's this young guy? Where is he in the world? Does he know he's coming up on ninja status? What's his trajectory? What's he looking like? Let's start there, man, if you don't mind, and then we'll catch everybody up and get into what you're building out now.
Yeah, so as a young buck, I was very active. I grew up in Plano, which is a
Mhm.
North Dallas suburb, and was always athletic, like to be outdoors, riding my bike down the street with my buddies, doing stuff, just doing all the things, exploring. And I was a very adventurous young man. And so, man, just living life. Big gamer as well, played a lot of video games growing up, Super Mario Brothers, all that.
That's right.
And so from there, yeah, went to Plano schools, high school, and all that. Ran track at Plano East, and so I was a fast guy. I tried some other sports like basketball and things like that. I wasn't necessarily the most skilled person, like with catching a football, dribbling a basketball, shooting. I was decent, but I was a scrappy guy. I was fast, and I worked hard. So that was kind of my younger days, and then that kind of transitioned into kind of that teenage phase and kind of after school and things of that nature. But I always enjoyed kind of watching cool stuff on TV like American Ninja Warrior, American Gladiator. That's kind of the original.
Gladiators, old school.
Yeah,
Yeah, man. Yeah, that was the old school. That's what we grew up because we grew up in that time where you got to watch what was on. There wasn't a streaming sort of deal. You didn't get to record. It was just, you had to run home and make it home in time for your favorite show of whatever that was, right? I mean,
yeah,
you had that. I know again, I'm a couple years older than you, but man, I remember the antenna and like very few stations and like trying to make that kind of stuff work. And, I mean, that's kind of the time we grew up. But American Gladiators is an interesting thing. I don't know if these young guys have seen that, but that kind of it's different than American Ninja Warrior, but it kind of paved the way for that reality competition sort of deal, man. We didn't,
yeah.
that wasn't as prevalent as it is now.
No, not at all. my favorite part of American Gladiator was that last challenge where the guys were, going on the hand bike and then
Yes.
running around. So I thought that was just so cool. I was like, man, that'd be like just so cool to do something like that. And
Yeah.
eventually, American Ninja Warrior kind of kicked off, and that was the closest thing, and had an opportunity to hop in there,
How cool, man.
down the road.
How did you get exposed to it? How did you get exposed to the warrior sport and all of that? Because I don't know, and all of a sudden it has burst on the scene, and my kids, became these giant fans, and so I started watching and just become a fan of so much about it, the athletes and the sport, but just the camaraderie itself too, and just kind of the atmosphere of the whole thing. I've fallen in love with that, and I think that's a good microcosm for so much. But I don't even remember the early days of it, right? Like I remember parkour a little bit and seeing some crazy YouTube videos there. I
Hmm.
don't remember the early days of Ninja Warrior. Like, how did you get exposed to that in general?
Yeah, so kind of like you said earlier, I would come home and flip on the TV, and I would typically just kind of catch it on. So whether it was like I think G4 at the time was one of the stations, and they would play the old school like Japanese version of American Ninja
Oh,
Warrior. I guess it wasn't American at that time, but it was
okay,
just Ninja Warrior. So
okay,
I would see it
okay.
on there. I was like, man, that's super cool. And then eventually it transitioned to the American version, and it was very like low budget or lower budget. It was during the daytime. The obstacle course wasn't as extravagant, and it
Yeah.
was more like the parkour guys that kind of really dominated early on. And one day I was just kind of watching it on TV, and I was like, man, like I've always loved competing. I like to just push myself, put myself out there, and
Mm.
and go for it all. And one particular episode, I was just kind of watching. I was like, you know what, I can do that. Like this guy, if he can do it, I can do it. At least in my mind. And so I just like, maybe just go online. This was 2013, and let me go online, just like look into it, see how it works, see how you get on, look at the process. And so at that point, it was like, now casting for season 5, and so clicked on the button, went down the rabbit hole. You kind of fill out an application of sorts, and I filled out everything. I was like, let me just keep on going here and see what happens. And at the end, it was like, make a 7 to 8 minute video, just showcasing who you are, what you do, your training, and all that. And at that time, I didn't have a camcorder, but just called a buddy up, and I was like, hey man, I need you to film some stuff for me, so I get on this show. And we got together. I was like climbing trees and climbing sides of buildings and stuff like that, apartment complexes, and we made it happen. Look at it now. It was like I thought that video was trash, but I sent it in and then just kind of just kept on moving. And about a month later, they called me and said, "Hey, you got selected for Ninja Warrior." So that's kind of where things took off.
How cool, man. So, but I mean, you're doing really some of the old school climbing trees, parkour, old school parkour kind of stuff. You didn't have a full-on Ninja Warrior gym to go train at. You didn't have obstacle specific things to go after, right? I mean, it was like that was, you were doing similar stuff, but you weren't doing the things you could actually train for, right?
Right.
And so
Yeah.
that very first season, that very like, am I wrong? Because I'm trying to do a little bit of research. That very first season, that very first obstacle on American Ninja Warrior, like
Oh
that's the
man.
way it kicked off, right? Like it didn't start well, but I think there was a
Mm-mm.
lesson there, right? Because I've heard you say something about the do you mentality that came out of that particular lesson, right? Can you tell guys kind of that first experience on the show and kind of what you learned from that?
Yeah, now you hit the nail on the head, man. And so the research was very well
Okay.
done.
Yeah.
And so yeah, I didn't have anything to train on. There's no gyms in the area at that time. So I was a personal trainer at that time, and I was always strong upper body. I could do the pull ups and all that stuff. And uh, but when it came down to it, I was on the big stage, and I did kind of go out there with like high hopes, and I was like, man, I'm athletic, man. I was track, I was that guy. And so before I went, some parkour guys were going. These are guys like world renowned parkour guys, and so they hit that first obstacle looking like cool. They were just bounding through. I was like, man, like that was pretty sick. And my original plan was to like jump on each one, kind of grab, and then pounce on the next one. But I'm like, you know what? So I kind of going through my head. I was like, I'm about to be on national TV. I need to make this look cool. So I'm gonna do it that way. I'm gonna do how those guys did it. No parkour background at all. So I went out there, hit the first 3, 4, and I noticed that I wasn't getting the same push off each one. And I was like, oh, this is not going well. And then hit the last one, barely got onto it, slid into the water, over and done in like 5 seconds, if that. And it was water was freezing. It was in Denver, Colorado. It was probably like 3 a.m. in the morning. And the worst possible debut you can have on a TV show happened to me. But like you said, there was um, a lesson learned, man. So many emotions at that point. As soon as I splashed down, I was like, okay, like it felt like a nightmare, like where you're in a dream and like, okay, this didn't play out. Because in the dream you're always like losing something or you're running slow. It felt
Yeah.
like that. I was like, I'm gonna wake up and it's gonna be the next day. It's gonna be a day of competition, but no, it was real, and I failed, and just kind of a lot of emotions went through my head. Like, okay, maybe this is not for me. Um, Golly, like just completely taken coming from I'm about to go crush it to
Yeah.
oh, like yeah, you're pretty much the laughing stock of this episode. So, but that's yeah, humble beginnings, but definitely a lesson learned just with humility early on.
Yeah.
My mom, I got back. My mom was kind of really just pouring into me like, hey son, things happen, but you got to get back out there if you want to pursue this. Like you can't let this really just dictate your just your whole experience with this. But hey, you need to get out there and try it again. And I did reapply and kind of went back out there and things changed my next season.
What was that reapplication I love that, man. What that reapplication process though, because I think a lot of people would have leaned into what you said of like, oh, okay, cool. That was my very first thing on national television, and it went downhill. Like, man, maybe this isn't for me. Man, maybe that was a mistake. Maybe that was right. But you got there and re-upped, and a big shout out to mom for for pouring in on that, man. That's a big thing, and it seems like she's led really well. We'll talk. I want to talk about her in a little bit too. Um, but what was that reapplication process like when you got back on there and sent in the next video for the next season? They know what happened too, right? So what's your mentality creating that video? Did you say anything specifically about that? Did you talk like what was that like?
Yeah, so it's definitely so funny thing after it happened, like the next day, I was like calling the producers up. I was like, "Hey man, like that wasn't me right there. That was just a little fluke thing. Like give me another shot." Because they had this thing called the wild card. I didn't know
Okay.
too much about the show, but there's like a time where they can like producer discretion, they can like select you to get back out there. I thought there was an opportunity, but I was calling like they didn't return my calls or anything. I was like, man, this must be it. But so after I kind of picked myself back up, I was like, no, I'm gonna reapply. I'm gonna go back out there because this is definitely not how I want to go out. I don't want to be known for this. And so I reapplied, and it asks you questions about like your previous experience on the show. I was like, hey, I just had a fluke thing. I was maybe just kind of caught up in the moment and just really I changed my game plan. I didn't do me, which I should have done. Always stay true to you. Don't compare yourself and don't try to do what others can do. They might have a unique skill set that I don't necessarily have. And so
Mm.
yeah, thankfully I reapplied it to go through the same process again, fill out the application, make another video. So I'm like, hey, this time, like I'm motivated. I got a little chip on my shoulder, and I'm ready to go out there and prove myself. And thankfully, I got selected for in the second opportunity. And I think it was all like, God just aligning things because the second time I competed, they came to Dallas, and so like it's in my
Oh,
backyard. I'm
yeah.
like, I got the whole gang. I got all my like friends and family to come out, and so like it was like a really good opportunity to have that redemption experience. And thankfully things went well. And I was out there just with all the motivation in the world. I was like, all right, hit rock bottom. I can't
Yeah.
go anywhere else but up at
That's
this
right.
point.
That's right.
So like, it's game on. I was confident. I knew I had nothing to lose and everything to gain. And I went out there with the mindset to gain and to see victory. And we experienced it. And it was amazing.
And you ran your race versus going, that's an interesting version of somebody else's race. Maybe I'll try that. Right.
Yeah,
That's
absolutely.
That's a different thing because that's a good lesson there, man. So it's an interesting thing that we have to do as humans, as men, as young men, because you do have role models, you do have the people that come before you, you do have the people that are laying footsteps and foundations, and you want to watch them and you want to learn from them and you want to replicate sometimes, right? I mean, that's um, sports in general, business, there are patterns of success that you can watch and replicate. And that's a good thing. But you also have to practice those things before you necessarily apply those on a bigger stage sometimes. Right. Sometimes
Hmm.
you can't jump in. So that was an interesting lesson for you to learn of like, man, because you probably would have if you just done it the way you were going to do it, one grab at a time or whatever that looked like versus going through like the parkour guys, it would have been a different experience. But maybe the
Hmm.
lesson wouldn't have been learned too, right? So there's no downside there, but it's just an interesting thing to get to go back and think through, man. It
Yeah, no,
really
100%,
is.
man.
That's so
And
cool.
and then looking back now, like that was the best thing that could happen to me,
Yeah. Yep.
and that set me up to really just be able to persevere and kind of know what the bottom feels like. So when you do get to the top or experience that success,
Yeah.
it's that much more, just meaningful and impactful. And so
Mm.
and it's good for people to see that too. It's we glorify with social media, you see all the highlights, all the positive stuff, but like not like you gotta most people that do have some kind of success, they see the nitty gritty, the shortcomings, the failures. And so I'm glad it happened to me. And it really built up an armor to really prepare me for what was in store, which I didn't know at the time, but 10 more seasons of competing at a high level.
Man, 100%. And I'm trying to remember who it was. I want to say it might have been this author Robert Greene, but I remember reading somebody said it is a curse to be successful at everything at your first attempt. Right. And
Mm,
so what you said, like that happened exactly the way it should. You wouldn't have maybe necessarily gotten that lesson if it had just gone in and crushed it right away, right? Like there was not just a lesson in humility, like you said, but just a lesson in running your race and doing your thing and
mhm.
understand. So no, man, that's so cool. And again, 10 more seasons. So a lot has evolved in the, I mean, a lot, you've obviously gotten better, but the sport itself has just blown up, man. The obstacles are freaking bananas.
Mhm.
The cameras, the notoriety, like it is, you've seen the courses evolve, you've seen the stakes rise. How do you continue to look at things and continue to be like the mentally resilient, mentally adaptable as obstacles and expectations, continue to shift year after year with this sport?
Yeah, and it has evolved, so much. And
Mm,
you know, through that, and I was kind of one of the OGs. I started season 5, but that was like pretty much like the second season that it started airing on NBC.
yeah.
And so, with that, it was, the obstacles are constantly changing, and really you just have to build up a mindset. Been going through a little bit of life too, during that time. And so, like, really just the way you look at the obstacles, it's for me, it was an opportunity to prove to myself that I can just win at life. It was like overcoming those demons of doubt and
Mm,
fear and stuff. And so like it was an obstacle course, but for me, it was bigger than the obstacles. It was bigger than the course. It was more like I need to prove to myself that I'm here for a reason.
mhm.
And that's what gave me that edge to really push harder and find and go to that other place to really just push hard with everything I have to just prove to myself that it's worth it and that I can overcome anything that I put my mind to, and regardless of situation at home or whatever I feel like where I'm at in life. That was my time. That was my moment to just prove to myself and to the people that are watching that you can overcome stuff. And so that's what I made it bigger than me, and that's what helped me. That's why like I was kind of throw around the term like Team Karsten. I do it
Yeah.
for the people that are watching that need that. Hey, if he can do it, I can do it. Because that's how I got into it.
Man, that's a leadership mentality right there. And that's where, we've talked about this with the men and the young men on here quite a bit. Like I get it, but I also don't love kind of the current cultural narrative of like, come on, kids, find your passion. And when you find your passion, go bring your passion to everything. Make everything bigger than just you. Do it to overcome something. Do it to show others that something can be done. Do it because you're just going to do everything to the best of your ability. And then you might find out that you're really passionate about something in the meantime. Do bring that mentality to everything.
Mm-hmm.
And you'll be able to more readily find, where you want to go. I love that leadership mentality. How did you or did you find it because that's a it's a hard thing to learn, and I think that's an even harder thing, that even harder mentality to teach. And you have also transitioned not just from competing but leading other coaches too, right? Leading other coaches that are coaching Ninja Warrior, right? So what is that, how is that jump for you, leading others, the influence, the mentorship, when you're trying to pour this mentality into other people? Was that a natural
Mm-hmm.
thing? Was that tough? Is that something you still have to work on? What does that look like?
Yeah, it didn't come naturally. Like I didn't come into it knowing how to lead people and make an impact. And um, but going through that experience kind of really changed my mindset. So from original purpose or wanting to go out there was to just challenge myself, do something cool, be on TV. And
Hmm.
then once I went through a couple seasons, and then people were coming up, like kids coming up, hey man, like I saw you on Ninja Warrior, I want to go do that. Like, can you help me? And I was like, wow, this is cool. And I got several people coming up, just like being inspired. And so in that point, I was like, okay, let me see if I can start helping others do this. And so I started training some kids. And then once didn't have a gym at that time, and then the gym did open up, and I started training out of that facility, the obstacle facility there. And then now there are more people coming in, whether it's kids for a birthday party or other, adults coming in to train, and they would, hey man, I saw you on the show. Like, hey, can you help me out? And what was that experience like? And so like just personally going through it helped me just kind of naturally start having a different kind of approach and mindset going into the obstacle course. It's like now I need to help others, whether it's they're preparing for the show or just wanting to get fit, and just like find a new way
Yeah.
to train. And that was just by experience. My mom, she was a teacher for over 20 years, elementary school.
Yeah.
And so like I always like kind of watched her from afar and like how much she poured into her craft and what she did. And they don't get
Mhm.
paid much. And she did it for just making the impact. And so then things kind of started kind of like tying together. I was like, man, like now I started kind of like I think it woke up a kind of a something that was already a seed that was already in there that my mom planted.
Yep.
And then I became like, oh man, like let me start doing classes here. Let me start helping other coaches, put them in position to help others as well. And that was really what that's how I really found my purpose was leading and mentoring others through experience. And it was I've experienced a lot of life, and so you can't learn that. You just got to you just got to go through it, and then
Mhm.
you through your testimony you can impact and inspire others.
Man, and the fact that you realize too that you were able to pull, I can't ever stress this point enough. There are things that you are going through right now that you are learning right now. Anybody listening to this, anybody on this call live, anybody listening to it later, there's things that you're going through and learning right now that you don't realize you're going through and learning. And it could be watching your as a young person watching your mom who is a teacher and watching her pour in for year after year. Like you didn't know you were learning that craft simultaneously. You had no way to know that. And then
Mhm.
20 years down the road, as you start helping others, you're like, oh, wait a second, there is a skill set that is here because I did see her do this, right? It's that whole more is caught than taught. And sometimes we just don't bring it
Mhm.
back to the surface for 20 years. I mean, that's real,
Mhm.
and so I think that's I love that, man. And you're passing on that legacy that she passed on to. And I want to talk about mom for a sec, but I've heard you say something along the lines of wanting to reach kids who maybe haven't or maybe don't feel like they have found their place yet because the world has always been filled a lot of times with traditional team sports, and those are the things that a lot of time for a long time have gotten the most the most press, the most eyeballs. Ninja has brought back. I'm a huge fan of individual sports. I love combat sports. I grew up in combat sports. My boys in
Mhm.
combat sports. My daughters are also an individual with gymnastics. By the way, Miles, I saw Miles Avery last night. He said to tell you hi. I
Wow,
told him I was gonna
that's
be
my
talking with
guy.
you. Yeah. So and so they're all in individual sports, wrestling and kickboxing, and then competitive gymnast. And then my oldest is in equestrian sports, which is something brand new to me altogether. So why for you is ninja kind of the arena where belonging, meets possibility for these young kids, and how are you fostering that?
I like the way you frame that. Belonging meets possibility, man, and
Mm,
so and just like opportunity. Because yeah, like growing up, like as I kind of was going, high school and everything like that, like I always had somewhat some challenges in school in traditional learning and stuff. I just didn't do well with like reading and comprehension, and so I was
yeah,
like, man, like okay, am I just like, am I a dummy here? But I didn't think that was the case. I just feel like there's something else out there for me. There's something, a different path for me. I always felt that. I just didn't know what it was. And so,
yeah,
and then like coming out of high school, I felt like I didn't have my place. I did feel like I didn't fit in. I didn't know what the next move was. And I felt like just a little bit, a little bit lost, I guess you could say, because I wasn't doing everything that everybody else was doing. But again, deep down, I was like, you know what? There's something else out there for me. I always felt that in the back of my mind, but I just
yeah,
never could put it together. And so, um, this the ninja, the community, the sport itself, it really caters to that individual journey that everybody is on in life.
Mhm.
And you can make of it what you want. And it's a personal experience. What you put in is what you get out. But it is a space where you can be supported, encouraged, and you can approach the obstacle how
Mhm.
you want. And then you have others there to help encourage you, to help teach you how to navigate those obstacles, and then you can get those victories. And so whether it's just completing the first obstacle, on a course, like you can celebrate that and you can build on that. So you just keep
Mhm.
stacking and stacking. And eventually you have someone that can come in that maybe, we would get a lot of parents coming in like, hey, my kid, they're on the spectrum or something like that. They tried other sports. This is our 15th thing we've tried. They like the show. They're a super fan. They know everybody on there. They saw you. They want to give this a shot. I say, you know what? Come on in. Like that's the people that I love to serve, because
Mhm.
I felt like I was that person that didn't have a place, and so I want to create a space where those people that feel like they're maybe underserved can come in and have their own experience, and they can have someone that can, in a team that can love on them, pour into them, encourage them, and it's a win for everybody. The family wins, the mom, the parent can win, and then see that kid just keep progressing. And you can see it. It's such a cool experience that you can see the growth of that individual, and it's hard to explain it sometimes. Like I have a couple of individuals in mind that come to mind, and but it's just a really cool place, and I'm just proud and honored and um, called to help leading, to keep leading that charge and keep creating opportunities for others to come in and have that experience. And it's amazing.
Such a good the sport and the environment that's been created and the culture that's been created around the sport. It really is a good framework for the getting kids out of the I can't mentality and just the I can't yet, maybe. You know what I mean? Like I will break through, I will get this, and that they feel supported that whole way. The mentality of the
Mhm.
sport, again, what the athletes, yourself included, are able to do is phenomenal. I mean, some of the best athletes in the world, those are just unbelievable feats of strength endurance, and you know, amazing. But the mentality of the sport where you are competing and competition is, I don't love the we shouldn't compete anymore. There should be no winners, should be no losers. Meant I don't love that mentality. I don't think that's good for
Mhm.
anybody. But you can also say, look, competition's good, and we're still going to cheer win or lose, right? Like the anti-competition mindset sucks, but the poor sportsmanship mindset when you lose or that sucks too. Like it can be
Mhm.
both. Like, well, let's compete, and we're going to cheer each other on in the process, man. And I don't see a sport that cheers that on as well as this one does.
Yeah.
Some
Yeah,
sports,
that's true, man. Like what you see on the show with people like cheering for each other, like that's real. Like it's really like
yeah,
that. And so when we open up these gyms and do these different competitions, like we try to emulate what that show kind of really brought it. Yes, it was a reality TV competition series, but like it's real people competing out there. It's people got real lives and got,
yeah,
real challenges out there. And so and we now I coach a competitive team that we have world champions, several world champions in all different age groups. And our
mm,
big thing is like, hey, like go out there, compete. Like, we're going to compete to win, and
right,
whether that's on first on the podium or just, hey, having a best run, having like for me, my win was just having a good comeback season and just like, hey, overcoming that first obstacle. That's a win in itself. So how we
yeah,
look at winning can be kind of, be up to what your perspective is, but we want to compete to win. We want to have good sportsmanship. We want to win and lose with class,
that's
and we want
right,
to go out there and just go hard, and like whatever
right,
happens, happens. You go out there and try something, fall flat on your face. Congratulations. We
yeah,
encourage that. We need more of that too. And so I think our team and what we built within our facilities is that, hey, like, hey, we're going to go hard. I don't care if you're overweight or you have a setback or a shortcoming. Hey, let's remove the excuses. Go out there and do your best, and you can you can
100%.
get those wins. And we're gonna celebrate those. We're gonna pick you up off the ground when you fall flat, because that's what I needed when I was growing up. I didn't really have a lot of that other than my parents. They did a great job of that, but now you have another opportunity to have be around others, other coaches, other teammates, and people in the gym that are there to also pick you up and encourage you. And so that's what we're here to build. We're looking to change lives and create a whole new movement and a narrative with regards to competing and also just playing again. Ninja is a great way just to
Yeah.
play and move, and
Yeah.
so it's a lot of fun.
Man, there again, so much of this is a microcosm for life. I've been telling a lot of our affiliates as they're opening, man, like that is the culture you want to mimic. There's play, but it's play, it's hard work masked as play, right? And we were
Hmm.
able to learn so much and go forward so much when we have that playful mentality. And then that again, the competition side. I had a call earlier today with a gentleman named Sean Patrick Flannery, who's an actor, and I was talking with him and talking with his wife, and we were talking about just some of the things we're building, and they're helping an Olympic wrestler build out a campus in Oklahoma, and we were just kind of playfully, I'm like, man, I see what you're doing, Sean. I see what you're doing as a dad. I was like, I will out dad you every step of the way, though. It doesn't matter. Like I'm gonna beat you. And his wife comes in and she's like, you could never out dad him. And I'm like, I love it. That's exactly what you should
Yep.
say. That's exactly what you should say. You should want that kind of, and I'm gonna try to smoke you in this, and you're gonna try to smoke me, and we'll support each other, and everybody wins because of that, man.
Hmm.
Like that is it. I got another question or two here, gentlemen, young men, men. If you guys start having some questions, some things popping up, you guys start putting your hands up. I'm gonna start bringing you guys in here in a second too. So get the hands up with any questions you have. But we've mentioned mom quite a few times now, right? Tell me about mom, man. We know she was a teacher, but man, she's a huge part of the show too. When you're out there running, she's out there on the
Hmm.
sideline, man, cheering. Everybody knows mom's, is out there, man. Tell me about that relationship. Tell me about her. Why is it so important to have her out there cheering you on?
Oh man, it's the ultimate feeling, man, and she is just a unique creature.
Seems
Just
like
her
a rat.
spirit, and yeah, just her excitement and love for just she just wants to see me, see me shine. Every parent wants their kid to shine, and so like when I'm on the course, she's out there. She's so animated. She's probably the main reason why I keep getting on the show because they like, hey, is your mom coming out there this time? Oh, yep, she's
Yeah,
coming.
yeah, it doesn't hurt. Huh? I know.
So we're a package deal, but she is the biggest lover, encourager, and so a lot of times I'm trying to just put a smile on her face, and that's the reason why I go hard out there. And she's big on the spiritual side as well, and and she's gone through life too. She's adopted and had some humble beginnings, and so. But you wouldn't know that just by talking to her, and so she just loves life, loves to love on people, and she is just excited. She is out there just going crazy, running around the sidelines, and but she just loves it. She loves being around people too. She is a people person. She loves to like because people come up to her probably more than me now. They're like,
Yeah.
hey, are you Carson's mom? And
Awesome.
so like and then she gets that opportunity to speak life into others. And I'm always getting people out in the street like, hey man, I love what you do on the show, but man, your mom is amazing. And so just to hear that is like it's so awesome, and I always make sure I let her know how much people are cheering for her as much as they are for me, and we just need more of that. They have moms do a lot, and so I just want to make sure that they get the recognition and the shine that they deserve. And but it's fun, so I love my moms out there. So shout out to all my moms and my dads. Got love for y'all too, man. Y'all, my dad was big about hey, be tough out there, man. Be tough, son. Like just very like, hey, go out there and get it, man, and whatever happens, happens. But she's amazing, and I love her for everything that she's done to just keep me going. And when I'm down, picking me up, and when I'm going left, she helps me go right. So but
Yeah.
it's awesome. She's awesome.
Man, that's so good. And that's another thing that I just love about the show is that the family aspect of it too, right? And always highlighting the family, highlighting the journeys, highlighting the obstacles, not just, physically, but metaphorically and what everybody's going through and how family is always coming around and coming together. And then the chosen family that's there. One of the quotes we talk about a lot, is there's this it gets truncated, and so we lose the actual meaning of it. It says blood is thicker than water. Everybody knows that saying, but the real saying, the full saying is the blood of the covenant is thicker than the water of the womb. And so what
Mm,
it means is the chosen family, the family that you choose, the family that you choose to have a covenant with, that is going to be the strongest bond, even stronger than what is just blood relatives. And what we also,
Mhm.
I think, fail to mention sometimes is, hey, sometimes you can choose the blood relatives too. And then, man, it doesn't get much stronger than that, right? When you got those blood relatives that you can choose too, you choose to
Mhm.
make that covenant with those that you have that kind of bond with. There is nothing stronger than that, and
Yeah.
you see that with you. You see that with you guys. You see that on the show, and you definitely see it with you and Mom, man, 100%. Yeah,
That's a fact. That's a fact. You can't, yeah, you can't choose, your family by blood. You can't choose that, but you
yeah,
can choose new family and new partnerships and new bonds. And that comes through like experience. Yeah, meeting people and
yeah, man.
a shared experience, going through stuff. Someone else that went through some stuff. Hey, y'all have a bond through. Hey, y'all share the same struggle. Okay, now you got a bond there, and now you have someone you're fighting. You're fighting for each other now, and so that's your new family. And so and I've have a big family now through Ninja Warrior and the
Yeah,
kids I
man.
trained and the
Yeah,
parents and those bonds. And so it's an awesome community, which is why I have a lot of love and respect for what you're doing, what you've created out there,
thank you, brother.
and support that 100%.
Thanks, man. I appreciate that. Let's bring in one of our family members right here, Mr. Beckett Wells, and coming. I mean, talking about a good family. I've had the opportunity to get to know his parents quite well, get to know his sisters, and amazing, amazing humans over there. Mr. Wells, what's happening?
Thank you, sir. Thank you,
Sir.
Mr. Williams, for coming on the call. I actually grew up with American Ninja Warrior. I didn't do it, but
Yeah.
one of my neighbors actually was on the show, made it to Vegas um, for the championship. He lost. He was short. He couldn't do the spider wall. But
Oh,
my parents
Wait, who,
always
who
said
is
as
it?
yeah. Who is it?
Dusty McKinney is what my mom said.
Yeah, Dustin McKinney, man. I know him. Yeah,
Oh,
that's so
cool.
cool. He's a beast. Yeah, yeah, he's awesome.
Yeah, my parents, I always went to his house as a kid. He had a son my age and we always hung out. My parents said he'd walk on on the sidewalk in our neighborhood on his hands and stuff. And he was just like a cool guy. So I think it's really cool to hear that. I had two questions. The first one is how do you motivate people when it's like other people? Because it's already hard to motivate yourself, but how do you motivate others when they're unmotivated?
Mm,
Mm, that's a really good question, Beckett.
mm,
And thanks for joining the call, man. I love seeing my young guys out there. And so one way I motivate others, because everybody is unique and has different motivations. And so it's really just asking those questions. So if I have an individual, say it's you, Beckett, like, hey man, like Beckett, like, what are you looking to do here? What do you want to achieve right here? Hey man, I just want to like get a little more confident. I want to be able to just to get this one obstacle right here. So it's like, hey, let's work on this one obstacle. Let's just take it piece by piece. But it's finding what that deep passion is, or what are you looking to do. And some people get motivated differently. Some people are like, hey man, I need you to scream and yell at me to get me up this warped wall. Or some people are like, man, like just remind me that I'm doing this for my younger brother that is disabled. And so just really finding those things. Everybody has some kind of way of getting motivated. It's just about finding, having those conversations with those individuals to see like what their motivation is and what's going to drive them to push when maybe things get hard. And so really it's just asking those questions, seeing what else is out there that we can now pinpoint and highlight to, hey, keep that at the back of your mind while you're going through the course or while you're trying to do a certain challenge. So that's kind of how the route that I go is asking those questions.
I like that.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much. And my other question is a little weird. Have you ever looked into professional tag? Do you know anything about that?
Like the World Chase Tag.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I have some buddies that do that, and if Ninja Warrior, if that kind of like chapter closed for me, I would probably look at that because I do like the agility and moving like just shifty. We play little mock tag games like for our warm ups and stuff at the Ninja Gym, and so and I was being like a track guy like running. I think it's a really cool. I think it's like under the same umbrella too as like the Ninja Warrior. It's moving. It's movement. You have to navigate these obstacles and get the other guy and so yeah, I would definitely consider doing something like that. There's a couple of gyms that have those. They call them quads. Those areas where those the World Chase Tag takes place. I haven't been on one yet, but I love that kind of way of movement and a different way to challenge. But yeah, that's something I'm looking forward to trying out sometime soon.
That's
Yes, sir.
cool.
Thank you so
Yeah,
much.
it's kind of funny. That tag, I think Brittany Durant
Yeah.
is into that, right? And so it was
Yep.
funny, man. So Brittany, I don't even remember how we got connected, but we started chatting a little bit, and she's gonna come in with our young ladies and talk to the young ladies and within Apogee. And I did a quick look into her social media and I'm going through it. I'm like, wait, hold on a second. So she and I went to the same high school in the Bay
Oh,
Area of California. I mean, I live out in the mountains of North Carolina now, but she and I'm obviously older than her, but we went to the same high school in California, which is kind of a trip.
wow.
Yeah, kind of a
Small
small
world,
world.
man. Yeah,
Yeah,
she's awesome too. Yeah, she's great. Ninja
seems
Warrior
legit.
and the parkour stuff and the chase
Yeah,
tag.
man. Yeah, she's in that. And Beckett, um, talking about that motivation piece, right? And I love Mr. Williams' advice on that and connecting them to that bigger purpose. And I think it's an interesting thing, man, because we talk so much more about motivation uh here in our country maybe than others do, and we talk about it more in 2025 than I think ever, was talked about in the you know, 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, maybe even into the 80s, here in this country. And I've got to wonder if there is an element of what we talked about earlier, where I mentioned that what I think is a Robert Greene quote that I sort of butchered a little, but talking about the fact that like it's a curse to succeed at everything the first time. I wonder if we just have things the easier things get for us, right? Then we've got to start to rely on motivation for things because we can just survive without it. We can just kind of go along with a day without having to push anything. And we're still going to get fed and we're still going to have a shelter and we're still going to have people to talk to. We're still going to have some things to entertain us. And we're still going to have some. I wonder, man, if we just didn't have it so dang easy. And I'm not advocating for everybody here just going and living on the streets. But I'm just saying, man, I think sometimes we do it to ourselves too, where it's like we have a hard time motivating ourselves because we just have things a little too easy, anyways. All right. So all that
Hmm.
to say, I'm gonna tell your parents, man, you're grounded. We're gonna take away a lot of your stuff. We no more trips out to Montreat. I'm gonna tell your parents, and we're gonna make things a little harder for you too, and see what happens.
I actually got a trip to Montreat taken away because my mom got sick. We were actually supposed to go up this weekend, so
Oh, were you?
I
Okay.
got that
All
taken
right.
away.
Well, there you go, man. That's it. So no, some good questions, Mr. Wells. Some good,
Yes, sir.
good
Thank you.
great
Yeah, thanks,
questions right
Beckett.
there. Yeah, it's really good. I heard you, and you kind of answered this a little bit already, but I've heard you say in interviews, I was watching some stuff. It was something along the lines of a fear of leaving life without making an impact, and not fulfilling a purpose in that way. That to me, and I've told these guys this a million times. Like I remember very early on, and I was 15 when I first remember having this conscious thought, where it was kind of like Thoreau's quote of most men lead lives of quiet desperation, and most men don't actually live. They exist, and they live, and there is no lasting impact. There's no lasting legacy. They don't fulfill their God-given potential. And I remember at 15 thinking, man, that is absolutely true. Most men just exist through life. And I don't know what it means for me, but I don't want that. I want
Hmm.
to impact others to a higher level. I want to be able to just, all right, man, when God's like, dude, you're done, and I tap out, I want to be like, cool. I had nothing else that I could have exhausted and given, right? And I think that's inside all of us, but I think very few of us will actually pursue that, right? Like, when did that ever like become a conscious thought for you, or it's like, man, I am not just gonna exist and I'm gonna live. I am gonna survive. Like, was that ever a thing that was a conscious thing for you? And what do you think drove like, because I think so many men miss that. What do you think drove that for you, if that was a conscious thought?
Yeah. It was two parts, and everything really kind of revolved around like Ninja Warrior.
Yeah.
Because they all kind of relate. So like the initial like thought of like applying for Ninja Warrior, like because a lot of times you can see something, oh, that looks cool, I should try that sometime, but you don't
Mhm.
pursue it, you don't act on it.
Mhm.
But it was
Mhm.
that voice in the back of my mind that said, no, go look into it, go apply, go do this thing. And so and I acted on it. And then things took place and things happened. And so that was like the first kind of the first pivot there. And then the next one was after I started, after a couple of seasons in, I'm training and people like, started training in the Dallas area and they're like looking to me like, hey, like, what do we do next? How do we train? And so like I kind of fell into like that leadership element in building the community in the Dallas area. I was kind of recognized for being like the starter of like the ninja scene in Dallas. And
Mm.
then it just kind of all of a sudden, like people were naturally coming up to me and seeking help and guidance for this or that. And then once that I started seeing it happening, especially from the kids, I was like, okay, like I'm here for a reason now, and I need to keep pursuing this. I need to open up my own facility. I need to like start coaching classes so I can make a bigger impact. And that's when like my mom tying in with the schooling and her teaching, making an impact. I'm like, you know, in those little like the voice in the back of my mind, like, hey, you need to open up your own facility. That's your calling, and it's to create a space for others. And like I feel like we're all called to make an impact. Like we're not just here to exist. Like I just live a life, live, die. Like that's no fun. Like we're here to make a difference and make an impact. And I want people to like really, when I leave this earth, that man, like, hey, Carson created these amazing facilities where people can come in and live and pursue whatever goal that they have. And it didn't start out that way, but it was that voice in the back of my mind that was telling me to like go do that, go do this, and I pursued it. I may not know how to do it, but just start taking steps, and then eventually God will provide the means and the resources and the people to bring that to fruition, because it's really to honor Him. And so like that's what I love, man. And like this hasn't been easy. Like the last 3 years, we kind of had a falling out with the last facility that I was with, and we had built an amazing community there, and kind of like almost hit the reset button. But it did help me revisit the original dream of opening my own facility.
Mm.
And it's tough. It's a big dream. I want to swing for I'm swinging for the stars on this one too. So like I'm not only just looking to open up another similar facility, but I'm looking to do something that's a game changer that people
Mm.
might even look at and say, nah, you can't do that. Well, no, yeah, we can. Like I've seen people do some amazing things out there, and why not me? And so I started kind of thinking of life that way. Why not me? And then why not now? And because the other person needs me to do it so they can see me and then they can go pursue it. And so that's my passion, man. And I will not, unless my time card is pulled before then. But until then, I'm going to be gunning and running and working through the challenges to make that happen. And so if it doesn't get pulled off, which I know it will be, but if it doesn't, at least I know I was doing everything I could
That's
to
right.
move forward to that path and
And
that purpose.
so much respect in that. I was talking to a retired police officer out here actually the other day when I was at Miles' gym earlier this week. And I was talking to this retired police officer, and he goes, "Hey man," he goes, I heard you actually did you used to compete, you used to fight." And I said, "Yeah, had a handful of fights and kickboxing and mixed martial arts early in the days." And so we were talking about some of that stuff, and he's like, "Man," he's like, he goes, "I had a buddy who was a cop out here." And he started training, martial arts wise, and went in and was just like all gung ho, like I'm gonna fight, I want to get in the ring, I want to fight, I want to have the experience of actually going in and competing and get in the cage and do all this kind of stuff. And he said, and then I saw the guy 10 years later, and I said, "Hey man, whatever happened with that?" And the guy's like, "Oh yeah, I still go in there and train every once in a while." I was like, "Cool, but I know you wanted to compete. What's your record?" And the guy's like, "Well, and he's like, "Oh, so you're 0-0." So it was still, and that's okay. That's okay. Nothing wrong with that. But also, I've seen that in the gym so many times where guys go, "Yeah, man, I'm gonna fight. I'm gonna pull the trigger. I'm gonna." And hey, guess what? That bleeds into everything else too. I'm gonna start this business. Here are all my great ideas. Here's the thing I'm gonna do. We've got a
Mhm.
bad case of the gunnas,
Hmm.
and it is just a dream killing freaking mentality. Gonna say it one time and then go start doing it. Otherwise, I don't believe you. Right? And I love that. I have
Mhm.
so much respect, man, because you again are like, look, I'm gonna try out, and you do, and you go tackle it. You go actually dive in and make it happen, and you go after the things you say you're gonna do. And it's a rare thing, and I just have a lot of respect for that, man. So good on you on that. So give us because I know we're coming up to the end of the hour, and then I'll bring these guys through a debrief afterwards. Talk about, you mentioned kind of these next few years, opening your own gym and what that. So if everything goes your way, and there's always obstacles, no pun intended, right? Everything goes your way over the next 5, 10 years. What are you building, man, out there in Texas? What are you doing?
an empire, man, an
Yeah, man.
empire to for the purpose of good. I want to leave my stake, and so next 5 years, 5 to 10 years, we'll have five facilities, massive facilities that are state of the art, that are the coolest thing on the planet, where you can come in, you can create. So our whole thing is you can connect, create, and celebrate. So you can connect by connecting around other individuals like-minded, create new connections, reconnect with the family, create. We can, create our next and our best version of ourselves. We can work on our physical fitness. We can work on opening a business or trying something new or starting a new project, and then celebrate. We celebrate by celebrating those victories, whether it's like, even a birthday party or a competition or a special moment. We want to celebrate that too. And we're gonna have these massive facilities all across. We can do so many different things, and really just create moments. And those moments lead into uh, momentum. And then from there, I want to see other people starting new things because they came to our space.
Mhm.
Um, and we want to spread that kind of that message and that imprint across the nation. So starting out in Texas, we want to take care of home first, and we do
Mm.
want to branch out, and we'll see where God leads us as far as like whether it's like franchising a bunch of locations out there. But I'll let kind of God make those moves. But we're gonna do our part and set our stake in Texas, in the North Dallas area, and then build from there. And who knows? I like doing the like podcasts and stuff like that, more speaking. I want to be out there just to be a voice of reason and a voice of encouragement for others to pursue those things that we're kind of speaking to them in the back of their mind, and just be a living testament and example of just hey, life happens. I got a lot of stuff that I've had to work through even to get to this point. We do have our traveling course right now, and we have a course that we can bring to schools and different events,
Mm.
and we can set up anywhere, anytime to get that kind of Ninja Warrior experience. So I went out, we got that done, but now it's time for the facility. Now it's time for that place that we can call home, and to be able to bring people together and create some epic experiences.
Oh, I'm pumped for it, man. I'm pumped for it. I'm pumped for you. I'm working to trying to figure out. I'm going out to uh I know I'll be in the Austin area for our reunion and our celebrity fundraiser in December, but I'm working on getting a trip before that where I can go out and get out to Austin area and Dallas area in the same trip. Got a few things I want to do out there, podcast wise and business wise, but I want to get out to your neck of the woods, man, too, and see what I can do to help kind of take a look around at some facilities out there too, man. So obviously, you and I'll keep chatting on that, man. But get out there and give you a hug and in person. And I mean, I've never done any Ninja Warrior obstacles, but I can do a mean cartwheel, Carson. I'm not gonna lie. I'm not gonna lie to you, man. I'm not gonna lie to you. It looks good. So I may have to you can show me a couple things. I might show you that one thing, and then we'll see where it goes from there.
Hey, my cartwheel is terrible, so I'm looking forward to
Well, there you go. See, so we can learn, we can learn from
it.
each other, man. Dude, you're the man. I want to make sure we do two things before we go. For this, the people that are listening, as this goes out here in a couple weeks, where does everybody find you to follow along with what you've got going on? Where would you have people go? Where can I send them? And then the last one, is there anything on Apogee's side as an organization that we can do to continue to support you, mom, as human beings? So those are the
uh,
last ones on our side, man. Where do we find you? And is there anything you can think of where you're like, man, if Apogee would just, and then you say the word.
mm. So ninjaproject.com is our website, and that's where you
Mm,
can learn more about what we're building. And that does have my social media attached to it. So Team Karsten is the social media, mainly Instagram, and I post a lot of the cool things we're doing. We want people to see the impact that we're making out there,
mm,
and you can kind of follow the journey and see how you can either plug in too. And but I love being able just to be accessible for just the kids out there. They comment. I want to be accessible for those that are looking to reach out. And so I feel like the more people that can um, be surrounded with good people, I think that will make a difference that way.
mhm.
And from the Apogee side, man, just number one, keeping myself and Ninja Project in your prayers and spreading that kind of vibe out there. I believe a lot of people when they're praying for you to see those things take place. I think that's how God works, and really just keep doing what you're doing. What I'm seeing out there that's taking place with this new type of learning and and stuff. I think it's definitely needed out there. And by seeing that take place, it gets me inspired to keep pushing forward and to create a space that where we could, really partner and come together and create something really truly epic out there in the world. And so just yeah, keep those prayers coming and just support the journey as we put updates out there. We're gonna be looking for investors right now. We started that process, and so if there's any kind of connections that can be made on that front, that people that believe in the mission and the vision, would love to connect with those individuals and create something great.
I love it, man. I love it. Charlie, thank you, Mr. Warner, putting ninjaproject.com down there in the
Let's go, Charlie.
yeah, man. Charlie's got it covered for everybody to jump in here, and we'll obviously put it in there in the show notes and all that kind of stuff too. My man, I'm grateful for you. I'm just grateful for who you are, how you're showing up in the world. Obviously grateful for the time today, man, but just more so again, who you are and how you're leading other people, man. I am going to take these guys through a debrief here for the next hour or so. I'll shoot you a text message in a little bit. We got a lot to continue to keep the conversation going on, man, but grateful for you, my friend. Truly.
Grateful for you, Matt, and appreciate all that you do. And the gentlemen on the screen that are tuning in, those that are watching later, man, like I can already say right now, I'm proud of you. If you don't know, that's me telling you that I'm proud of you. Keep pursuing what you want to pursue in life. All you got to do is just keep taking those steps, guys, and you can do amazing things. You guys right here that are watching, that are in this right now, you're gonna do some great things in this lifetime. And you got myself, Matt, the whole team. We're here to support you and get behind you 100%, man. So I'm excited for what you guys are going to create in this world. And I'm already cheering for you, man. I'm a big fan of yours, and let's stay connected.
Amen. Amen. No better mic drop than that. You're the best. Gentlemen, let's give a big thank you.
Thank you,
Thank you,
Mr.
sir.
Williams. Appreciate you, man.
Thank you,
Thank you, sir.
guys.
Awesome. All right, my man. I'll reach out here in a little bit and touch base, say how we'll keep this going.
Sounds good. Have a good one.
Thank you, brother. You too.